Hey guys, we are starting the prologue for Romeo and Juliet. I'm super sad we're not in class to do this, but I'm going to try to give you the best Shakespeare experience that I can online. So I know some of you are audio learners. You can read through the instructions, but some of you do better listening while reading. So I'm just going to go through the instructions. If you will just kind of scroll down the page. Um, your first set of instructions are, as always, to read through the page for your lesson and then assessment information. I am trying really hard not to overburden you guys with work. You might feel overburdened with work if you haven't gotten started on it yet. So I just suggest that you maybe take 30 minutes of my class time, spend 30 minutes getting caught up on something, and then hit it again 30 minutes in a couple days. Just do what you need to get caught up. I am being flexible. I have hard due date lines, but you guys can turn anything in till the end of the quarter. I just hate to have you do that because I don't want it. I don't want it to pile up for you and you get even more frustrated. So let's go through this real quick. There is a link, first of all, that I would like you guys to follow and take a survey. Okay, it's not graded. Your names are not attached to it. We don't get to meet it as a class anymore, but it might be kind of fun for you to see how your classmates' views differ from yours, what is important to other classmates and what is not. And I'm talking about questions related to different themes, there's that word, in Romeo and Juliet. So this is kind of just a pre-reading exercise I'd like you to do. So the survey link is right there on the homepage of Canvas. When you're done with the survey link, go ahead and come back and read through what we've got here on Canvas. The first question is, what is a prologue? There are prologues in books, but there are also prologues in plays. So the prologue is an opening of a story. It establishes the setting of the story. It can tell you where it's taking place. It might give you some background detail. It'll tell some of the earlier story. And in this case, Shakespeare actually gives the ending away before the play even starts. He tells us that Romeo and Juliet are going to take their lives. So there's no surprise for the reader. What we get to watch as we go through the play is how those two ended up at this point. Okay, so what's a prologue? You guys are going to be working on that today. What is the role of the chorus in the play? So the chorus are the ones that are speaking the prologue for Romeo and Juliet. And the chorus sets the mood. Remember that word? Okay. And they also tell us the themes. I know you remember that word. So again, they can give background information. Think of it as like maybe you have grandparents and aunts and uncles, and they're all sitting around and commenting on your life. Okay. So I have a few videos about the prologue. You know, Shakespeare was written over 400, Shakespeare lived over 400 years ago. You should have found that out from doing your Shakespeare assignment. But he is still popular today. His plays are being performed all around the world. And there's not a lot of writers who can last through literally centuries and become more popular over time, more so than they even were in their own time. But Shakespeare is one of those. One of the reasons that Shakespeare plays are still as popular today as they were before is that we can relate to the themes. We can relate to some of the themes in Romeo and Juliet, other plays that he writes, and I won't even run a list of them off because there's so many of them. They're themes that people can still relate to today. Okay, you know all about themes, right? Because we've hit that hard this year. So I have a few videos just regarding the prologue. And I want you to have an opportunity to see how different writers and directors approach their material of Shakespeare. The first one that you'll see is the writer and director chose to set that in Shakespearean time. The music reflects that. The dress of the people reflect that. The scenery reflects that, although you're not going to get to see much of that just in the prologue. The second clip that it's the second part of the first clip that you're going to see was done in the 1990s. And the writer and director of that movie chose to set Romeo and Juliet in a very modern day setting. Interestingly enough, most of my students, when I've showed different videos in the past, they like the older setting instead of the modern setting. The modern one's a little more whacked out. But there's also a couple of music videos that I attached. One's by Halsey, and I can't think of who the other one is by. One is a rap about the prologue, and the other is, I guess, just as commentary put to song or put to music on the prologue of Romeo and Juliet by Halsey. And I actually really like that one. I think she does a good job putting a little twist on it. So that is just to have you become more familiar with the prologue of Romeo and Juliet. Why is the prologue so important? Because it sets up the story for you. It tells you what's been going on with these families. And again, Shakespeare alerts us to what happens at the end of the story. So they want the viewer or the reader, in this case, to pay attention to the events, again, that happen that bring Romeo and Juliet to that point. Could it have been prevented? Was it anyone's fault in particular? There's a lot of questions we'll get to, but I want you to be thinking about that. So down underneath the videos is the link to your assessment. Okay, guys, this is just kind of to hold you accountable and to help kind of cement that prologue in your mind so it's easier for you to remember. You just need to go to, you're going to follow the link. Hold on, I'm following it myself. You have a PDF slideshow to view. I put it into PDF because some of you are having a hard time opening the Google Slides. And then you have a Google Doc link. Okay, make sure you follow the instructions on that. Remember, you have to make a copy of a Google Doc if you're going to write in it. Now, on this Google Doc are the words of the prologue, and all you need to do is take the PDF slideshow and write down in those boxes what the modern day interpretation is, and those are on the slideshows as well. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know, but hopefully this was helpful to you. As always, with any questions that you might have, make sure you get in contact with me. I'm more than happy to set up a face-to-face conversation with you, especially if you are stuck, especially if you're going through some difficult things right now, which I know many of you probably are. You can kind of tell me, you don't have to get super specific, but if things are just hard to the point where you're having a difficult time concentrating and getting started on work, let me help you. Just email me and let me know, okay? All right, guys, go be awesome. I'll talk to you soon.